With the 11th pick in the 2026 CFL Canadian Draft, the Toronto Argonauts select Isaiah Smith, running back, Guelph.
Isaiah Smith, clearly the consensus top running back on this board. Maybe the one guy that could play tailback and fullback amongst this crop, Dwayne.
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say, that versatility. You think about a couple of years ago, a guy like Michael Chris Ike, drafted by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a guy who can back up at a couple of spots. I think about Toronto's roster, and the last couple of years they've been a team because of the Canadians that they have had at other positions, say particularly at receiver, where they have consistently started three. It's allowed them to dress a couple of American running backs, so they've dressed a backup American running back. The roster may shift a little bit this year where they require a Canadian backup to play. And, the market of those guys in the league, when you think about the offseason, things that have gone on in the offseason, Sean Thomas Erlington retires in Montreal, Jeshurun Antwi retires in Calgary, the depth of Canadian running backs and those guys who can sort of get you through a game, play a certain number of snaps and spelling your starter is limited. And so your best route to get that guy is Isaiah Smith, quite frankly, because there aren't a lot of other guys in this draft class that necessarily project to that.
Yeah, exactly. And he benefits from being part of a draft class that doesn't have, necessarily a marquee kind of pushing for that top running back taken sitting there right behind him, right? That's I think why he goes in this spot. But to me, it's the Toronto Argonauts trying to find solutions, right? Like I mentioned off the top, they've got to be able to find some different ways to massage the ratio. And the picture that we showed you off the top here, like this Isaiah Smith is chiseled. Like he will run through an absolute brick wall. He's 230 pounds. He moves very, very well. I think he's got a great opportunity. Like you say, that it's kind of that Antwi fill-in role, that Sean Thomas Erlington. I also think about just how the former Toronto Argonaut, Daniel Adeboboye, spelled William Stanback at times last year and was really successful. And the reality in the CFL is, guys, that if you are a backup running back as a Canadian and you get your 10, 15, 20 snaps and you play very well in them and you're productive, there's an opportunity in free agency. You get picked up by somebody and you're being looked at as a fringe starter with an opportunity to play even more reps. So I think that's what Isaiah Smith's kind of trajectory is at this point.
Yeah, a couple things about Isaiah Smith is, at 230 pounds that he was at the Combine, in running the 4.67. This is kind of somebody, a special teams player, going to go, let's give this guy an opportunity to do some things that normally some of the smaller, faster tailbacks, like, sometimes guys run 4.67, but they're not 230 pounds. So that's a positive for him. And it certainly gives you a guy. Think about last year. We didn't know too much about Matthew Peterson until Brady Oliveira went down. And Peterson go ahead and does some really good things. And what the Bombers do, we're going to play a Canadian tailback. So this gives you somebody who can maybe give you that roster flexibility that you need.
A couple of other notes about Isaiah Smith. I spoke to his head coach at Guelph, Mark Surya, who told me he suffered a torn ACL in his second year, and when he came back, he wasn't necessarily as comfortable running with the football, so he worked on other parts of his game. He got better out of the backfield. He got better in direct pass protection from the backfield, chipping, coming out of the backfield, and all of that allowed him to become the complete player that he is today.